Good morning, readers. Happy Wednesday. It's Michelia, and today I want to teach you that when an author describes something by suggesting it's like something else, something that's actually quite different, the author expects the readers to bring those two different things together in ways that create a brand new, made for the moment meaning. And what we call that is comparative language. So today's lesson, we're really going to focus on comparing two things together. And we call those similes and metaphors. You'll see them a lot in your reading, and you'll be using them in your poetry as well. Similes and metaphors are when we compare things to other things. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about understanding comparative language. And so to do that, I added another strategy to our understanding literary language anchor chart. And today's strategy is when two things are compared, think about how they're alike. Okay. So for example, yesterday I shared in Red Flower Goes West, a page from Red Flower Goes West, if you remember. And it said that the child could see red flower glowing warm and bright like a lantern to show us the way. So they were comparing a flower to a lantern. Two totally different things, right? A flower you think is a plant, they're pretty, maybe it smells nice or whatever. And a lantern you think provides light. So you don't necessarily think to put those two items together, but in that particular moment, the author put them both together to create a new, made for the moment meaning. So today you should have listened to the story When Sophie Gets Angry, and it's written by Molly Bang. And in the story, the author is comparing Sophie to a volcano. And the line in the book goes, Sophie is a volcano ready to explode. And when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, she runs. Now, I want you to think about what was said there. There was a deeper meaning as to why the author chose to compare Sophie to a volcano as opposed to something else, right? Instead of just saying, Sophie gets really mad. Think about a volcano. A volcano is something that's really, really violent, right? When they explode, they're shooting hot lava all over the place, and they're very dangerous. And so to show just how angry Sophie gets, the author compared her to a volcano, right? Now, I want to go back to what I talked to you, I mentioned before about similes and metaphors. And I made us another anchor chart, and it's comparing using similes and metaphors. Now, a simile will always use either the word like or as to compare something. So, for example, like peas in a pod, as sweet as pie, sparkle like a diamond. So a simile, again, uses like or as to compare two different things, right? Now a metaphor is going to use one of these four words, either is, was, are, or were. She is a fish. They were tornadoes at recess. The snow was a blanket. So when we use comparative language, we're really using objects and maybe people or animals or emotions and putting them together that we normally wouldn't put together, but we want to think about how they go together. How are they alike? And that goes back to our anchor chart today. And when two things are compared, we want to think about how they're alike. So those authors used the simile or the metaphor, the comparative language in their writing for a reason. And it's your job today to think about how are they alike. So for today's reading, while you are reading, I want you to be on the lookout for similes and metaphors. If it's a simile, it's using like or as. It's comparing two things. You know, they were like two peas in a pod. It means that they get along really, really well together, right? If you're sweet as pie, pie is sweet. You're being compared to a pie because it must mean you're a really sweet person. So similes and metaphors will be used to describe characters or different things happening in the book as well. A metaphor, again, is going to use is, was, are, or were. She is a fish. They were tornadoes. The snow was a blanket. As you're reading, look for those things. Don't forget to stop and jot. Make note of them. If you want, take a picture and you can upload it onto Seesaw so we can all see the examples that you found. Okay, but there also is a simile and metaphor activity for you to do on Seesaw to go along with today's lesson as well. Happy reading, everybody. Bye.